FS Elite at FlightSimExpo 2024 is proudly brought to you by Simbit World's A Pilot's Life Chapter 2. Check it out now on SimMarket and also on Contrail.
Okay, well, hey everybody, welcome to FlightSimExpo and welcome to the Sporties and Infinite Flight presentation, where we're going to talk about where flight simulation and real-world aviation intersect. So I'm Jason. I've been working at Infinite Flight since about 2018. I'm a private pilot and I work in digital marketing and partnerships at Infinite Flight, and I've been a pilot since about 2020 and fly a Piper Cherokee based in Parry Sound, Ontario, Canada.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris McGonigal with Sporties. I'm the Director of Search Marketing there. I'm a commercial certified pilot. I have my instrument rating. I'm also a graduate of Sporties Academy. I fly a Cessna 182 when the mornings are right and we want to grab some breakfast before going into the office. And I have earned the nickname of Sporties Flight Sim Guy, so I think I'm well suited to talk on today's subject.
So let's talk about briefly what is Infinite Flight if you're not acquainted. We're a mobile flight simulator that works on iOS and Android devices, so phones and tablets. We're a free download in the App Store, so you can check us out for free in the App Store and on Google Play. We have some things available for free, some aircraft, some regions that you can fly around in. You can get your feet wet with it, and then if you love it, then you can access all of the airplanes and all of the entire world on a low monthly subscription. There we go. So I'm not going to cover all of the features of Infinite Flight, but you can check us out at the booth over there at the back. But I'll go over a few pilot uses. So you can fly to and from any airport in the world. You can use Infinite Flight for real-world navigation practice. We have real-world winds aloft, density, altitude, weight, and balance. So I am very, very bad at math. I find doing math in my head a real challenge. And so that was a worry when I went to get my PPL late in life, having to do calculations in the cockpit. So what I would do is, in Canada, we can't use an EFB in our check rides, so I had my paper navlog, my charts, Infinite Flight, my E6B. Yes, I did know how to use an E6B. My ruler, my pencil, and everything all spread out on my office floor, and I would just go over my solo cross-country route over and over and over and doing those speed, distance, and time calculations. So that was really beneficial for me. We have real-world approaches and departures and procedures in Infinite Flight for the entire world. We have dozens of aircraft. We have almost 1,000 aircraft and livery combinations that you can use. And like I said, you can use it with your favorite EFB, so Garmin Pilot, ForeFlight, and a handful of others. So you can connect it, and Infinite Flight works just like the GPS in your cockpit would in the airplane. So it connects as a device to ForeFlight or Garmin Pilot, and then you can practice those features before you burn any gas. So how does Infinite Flight work? Like I said, we're designed for mobile devices exclusively, so iOS and Android. What we do is we use the device's accelerometer and gyroscope. So if you tilt the device, that's how you control your pitch and your roll. And then for everything else, we use a 2D button interface. So things like pitch, roll, spoilers, all of that, that's controlled using our 2D button interface, accessible with your thumbs. And we just find that if you're using a small device like an iPhone or something, it's awkward to zoom in and fumble around looking for a flap lever or something. So we've done that. And all you need is an internet connection to get going.
So a little bit about Sporties. Our company started in 1961 down at Lunken Field in Cincinnati. As the story goes, our founder, Hal Shevers, would walk into the restaurant and put a little handheld radio on the table and tune it to the traffic frequency. And people would hear airplanes coming in to land. And someone would come up to him and say, "Where'd you get that? How do I get one?" And he'd say, "For $32 it's yours." He'd sell it to them, walk out to his Studebaker, grab another one out of the trunk, bring it in, and do it all over again. And that is really how our company started, selling radios out of what we call Warehouse 1, his Studebaker. And 63 years later, it's weird to think it's that long, we've grown into one of the world's largest pilot shops. We are located at Claremont County Airport, India 69er, if you ever want to visit us. On Saturdays, we have free hot dogs from noon to 2, so feel free anytime to come by. We've got about 3,700 feet of runway, and the nice thing is it's located about 100 yards from that front door you see on the screen behind me. And why that's really nice is working in the office, we're able to address products or things we're working on, but then at a moment's notice, we can go out and test items in an aircraft, or go fly, or those breakfast runs we've enjoyed before. So it's a really nice spot to work, and something that we've got a lot of great abilities at our hands. As I mentioned, I'm a graduate of Sporty's Academy. We currently have about 300 students at our academy. We also have about 2,000 flight instructors. So having the learning environment on our airport, and a lot of students coming through and finding those pain points of what's the problem with training or what would you like to improve, we really get an insight into what the aviation community or students are needing. And then with our team, we do a lot of stuff vertically. So we design our Learn to Fly course. A lot of our shipping, fulfillment is all done in that building. So with our group of instructors, a fleet of aircraft, I think we have almost 20 Cessna 172s here now. And our design team, we're able to create what's called the Learn to Fly course. And our Learn to Fly course is really our flag we've put in the ground to make sure the aviation community knows we're here to teach them. So let's go over a couple things of what that Learn to Fly course gives you. First off, it's got over 15 hours of 4K video. We like to think eventually we'll be the Netflix of aviation, and we're trying very hard to do that. It also has 32 fully narrated maneuvers. So if you want to learn how to do those steep turns, soft field landings, soft field takeoffs, XYZ, we make sure they're narrated by Rob Ryder, and we give you the breakdown on how those maneuvers are flown. We also have in-flight videos, so I myself like to see when you go into a steep turn, what happens to the altimeter, what happens to the vertical speed indicator. So we give a lot of that content too, which I think is on the up and up lately. We have interactive maneuvers, so it's not just a static, watch this video and then go to the next one. We give you tests of, if I'm entering the pattern from this heading and the runway is this heading, am I on downwind, am I on upwind, what degree should I enter? So we give you that kind of feedback to make sure it's not like those courses we may have taken in school where you're just listening to someone talk for an hour long. It's more of an interactive type thing. We give you over 1,000 questions from the FAA knowledge test. So the goal here is to give you all the ground experience or understanding you're going to need to become a private pilot. In order to do that, you need to know a lot about aviation, aerodynamics, meteorology, a lot of content. So we give you a lot of those questions that will be on the FAA knowledge test. And then the last bullet point there, which I think is one of the most valuable, is free lifetime access. Every year, we update our course with new features, new things that are rolling into it. But it's also beneficial because rusty pilots, if they bought the course, let's say today, they fly for a few years and then life happens, you can't fly for a dozen, you come back to us, you show us when you purchased it, we find your system and say, yep, you got access. 2030, 2035 version, whatever it be, we'll honor that original purchase. So I think that's a great feature, and I've talked to a lot of pilots who benefit from it. And then it's also available on all devices, iOS, Android, Mac, web, smart TV, browser. We even have a CarPlay app. So if you do want to listen to Rob Ryder's voice while you're driving to the airport or home, you have that ability too. So that's a little bit about our Learn to Fly course and why we think it provides everything a student pilot would need outside of an instructor to get ready to go earn their private certificate.
FS Elite at FlightSimExpo 2024 is proudly brought to you by AnyBuilds. Check out their A300 right now from Microsoft Flight Simulator.
So at Infinite Flight, where we come in here is we had a few goals that we wanted to achieve, and we didn't have a system to do it. So we wanted to have a way to, we host a lot of online events. So we wanted to have a way to put people in the cockpit very quickly without having to explain how they get there. So we wanted to create a one-tap, or what we call a deep link solution, to get people flying very quickly. We also wanted a one-tap solution to get into maybe a training situation. So again, it's one thing to explain to a student who maybe hasn't used the app before how to get there, how to get in the airplane, how to get airborne. But if you can put them in the left seat, already at 3,000 feet and ready to do a maneuver with some guided access, then that's a lot easier. We also wanted to provide a way for partners like Sporty's Pilot Shop to leverage these scenarios to kind of enhance their training and provide new ways to meet their objectives with their students. And so out of that, our scenario system was born. So what is a scenario? Scenarios are basically custom-made flights that are in infinite flight that have a specific starting point and that are going to take the user through specific steps and objectives. So a few examples are training scenarios, which we're going to talk more about. Maybe a fun challenge, so maybe we simulate an engine failure on takeoff at a high density altitude, and what do you do about that? How do you get yourself out of that? And it's important, as we know as flight simmers, to practice those things before you actually get into the airplane. Just a new level of chair flying, which Chris will talk about, and task saturation. Or, like we've talked about already, if we have an event going on, we want to start people right at a specific gate in a specific aircraft, ready to go. We can do that with one tap, whether it's from an App Store event with Apple, or whether it's from a website, or whether it's from another app. So anything that we simulate is going to be available in our custom scenario editor. And the scenario editor is going to be available to partners like Chris, and to our developers, and to a select group of people from our community who are using infinite flight all day and who are setting up these really fun and challenging scenarios, whether it's flying through the Mach loop or whether it's simulating an engine failure. They're there to do that. So each scenario will have a deep link, making it very easy to access, and it will include certain pass-fail criteria. And for those who have taken flight lessons, we know that we have our instructor's voice in our head sometimes. We've all heard the phrase more right rudder. And so we can sort of nudge the user in a certain direction while having a different level of immersion than you normally would just watching a course or reading material in a book. So this takes, all of that, and it puts it into a very small package where the user might even be learning on their tablet, and they can do that one tap, take them straight into the scenario in infinite flight, and they're ready to go. And they're ready to put what they've just learned into practice.
And with all the features that Jason just outlined, the ease of deep linking, the ability to talk back to you as things are progressing, we naturally recognize there's a lot of benefit for this for student pilots. So we're very happy to partner with Jason on Infinite Flight.
Right on.
So a little bit about how this would incorporate with our course. First off, I want to give shout out to Chris Clark, who's in the front row. He was very instrumental in putting a lot of these scenarios together. He works in our Learn to Fly course. He knows it probably best out of anyone in this room, and he's been instrumental in getting it going. So if you have questions or things you want added, Chris Clark right here in the checkered shirt, I also will be helping out with this. Let's say you open the course, you've watched a video on steep turns, as you can see on the screen. We've given you your point on the horizon you should keep in sight, that 30-degree angle we all aim for. You can watch the video, and then as you'll see on the bottom right of the screen right here, we have the scenario. With one click, you can jump into that scenario and fly that practice maneuver. So it really gives that seamlessness of you just learn the material and now you can jump into it. This provides a lot of ease, I think, having gone through, coming in for a lesson, doing a briefing with my instructor, talking about what we're going to do, and then going flying. It now allows you to sit down with your instructor. You can, together, go over that maneuver, do a briefing, but also fly it digitally. With a couple clicks, you'll go right into what the maneuver looks like in the program. And then give a quick briefing on how it's going to operate. You'll fly that maneuver, as you'll see, out of Sporty's digital airport right there. And then you can take those lessons or those little guidances that your instructor gave you before you got in the aircraft, and you can take it up when you're flying in the actual aircraft. So the learning really does start before you turn the engine over, before you've gone ahead and started paying a lot of money to that flight school. And you can get better at flying, say, those steep turns, or that stall, or those maneuvers that we're going to be incorporating in this program. So we really like the ease that the learning doesn't start when you're at 3,000 feet flying, maybe a little bit of nervous, it gives you the safety of being on the ground and starting to get into that learning phase. Another seamlessness piece that we recognized about our course is over 60% of our course users are either on a phone or a tablet. There are still quite a few that prefer the desktop, but we found the ease of everything syncing up. So if you watch a lesson on power off stalls on your phone, and then the next day you get on your iPad, it's synced up. It's ready for the next one. There's no catching up. We wanted to make sure it was one user, one location on all devices. Because of that, we've really seen tablets and phone usage grow recently. And since Infinite Flight is a mobile program, it just made a lot of sense. 60% of our customers, after watching a video, can click a button and on their iPad or phone can go right into that maneuver seamlessly. So another thing we're excited about. Hey.
We're missing a little text here, but let's talk about a few of the user benefits for Infinite Flight users. So how does this benefit us? So we are excited to demonstrate the accessibility of not only flying from anywhere you are with an internet connection without having your PC rig with you, but also the accessibility of courses like the Learn to Fly course. So this allows eyeballs that are already on us to see what Sporty's is doing, and people who are already engaged with Sporty's to see what we're doing. So I think there's a really nice cross-pollination there and overlap. We at Infinite Flight, one of our goals is to fuel a student or a prospective student or even just an aviation enthusiast passion for flying and for learning. We also want to keep them entertained because it's something that's fun. We're all here because we enjoy flight sim, and Infinite Flight can give you that wherever you are. So we're excited to bring this new level of learning, of chair flying to you in Infinite Flight. Gamification is also something we see a lot of apps and companies doing. If you're a Flight user, even Flight was gamifying Flight last year, doing the pilot debrief at the end of the year where you can see all your hours and everything and then share it to social media. So that's something that we think really can keep people excited about flying. So as I said, we have the attention of a lot of the younger generation. We have a lot of eyeballs on us. Our monthly active user number is somewhere just shy of 900,000 users. So there's a lot of up-and-coming aviators and aviation enthusiasts that we're talking to already. But the benefits don't stop after training. Up on the screen is our friend Chris Leipelt. You might follow him on Instagram. He was KRHV spotter when I put this presentation together, and then after that he changed his handle because he's moved from spotter to pilot, and I think it's Mach 0.880 if you want to check him out. Some of you might know his brother Fly with Owen on Instagram. Owen's last gig was flying Post Malone around on his last tour. So these guys are flying jets. Chris is now flying a Gulfstream 4 for a job, and he's like 20 years old. But Chris started flying on Infinite Flight, and fast forward to now, he's still using Infinite Flight when he wants to brief an approach at an airport that he hasn't been into. And rather than fly that approach for the first time in the Gulfstream, he can fly it in Infinite Flight and sort of dial in that approach using our nav system, and he can see sort of a visual of how that's going to go before he's burning jet fuel for the company. So Chris started out, we had a staff event in San Francisco where Chris asked if he could take photos of it. We said sure. We got to know him a little bit, and then fast forward to now, he's sitting in a Gulfstream. So pretty cool. And we have, we have the benefit of Chris can't take his PC rig or his controls with him on the road all the time, but he can whip out Infinite Flight even on his phone or his tablet when he's in the hotel and do this practice.
And as Jason kind of alluded to this earlier, but I look at this partnership and this use of both of our programs as kind of chair flying 2.0. I was one of those students who I took the Cessna 172 poster and I put it on the back of my door in my room, and I'd run through those scenarios. So if I'm cruising along and all of a sudden I have an engine fire, what do I do? Where do my hands go? What's the checklist real quick? Or full throttle on the runway and all of a sudden the engine starts sputtering. Am I able to stop it before rotation? So I really like that with this program, we now give the option of no longer am I daydreaming about what would happen after I move those keys that are on the poster, but I can start looking at how do I get feedback from the program and what it's going to help us to understand. So I really think this is going to be a great way to give you that response in tandem with the course of how to fly submaneuvers. A couple other things I like is Infinite Flight is able to work with hardware. If you're using game pads or yokes, joysticks running on an Android, you are able to connect those. So if you're old school and you want something to hold, you have the ability to do that. And I think it's going to be a really fun partnership as we continue down this and progress with scenarios.
So you can try the Learn to Fly course for free, right?
Yes, yeah, we give you a free tester.
So we put a couple of QR codes. If you want to try Infinite Flight, you can download that right now if the exhibitor Wi-Fi lets you, the partner Wi-Fi. And you can discover all of what Sporty's has to offer for their Learn to Fly courses by scanning this one. Let's sort of get out of the way there. And we should mention that when you sign up for the Learn to Fly course, as Chris said, you've got that for life. But what you also get is a free trial of Infinite Flight Pro. So we're not just going to leave you high and dry with the free version. You get 90 days for free of Infinite Flight Pro. And then what I've actually talked to another flight school who's starting up using the scenarios as well. And this is maybe something that you guys can talk about, but they're actually going to top it up for their students for another couple of months. So it's something that, there's a nice overlap there. And we're hoping to launch this system this summer.